Hi, everyone. We have author Marsha Bullock here, and she's going to tell us a little bit about herself.
Well, I'm Marsha Bullock, and I am an author. I have, to this date, published 5 adult books, um, 6 children's. In those adult books, I have urban fiction, fantasy fiction. I call them love stories. Then in my children's books, I have 6, and all of the books they deal with some type of disability, inclusion. They all have a family message in the children's books.
Okay. And what was your first published book?
My first published book was called The Secrets They Kept. I published that 7 years ago. Um, I decided what happened was a friend of mine that I work with, a family service worker, social worker, was writing articles for this online woman's magazine. And the racier they got, the more the money went up. So I was like, I'm going to write me a little article. And so I started writing this little story. And then from there, it just snowballed to this big book. And so I published that in 2013. And then the following year, I published a book called Four Bad Bitches. And then from that, I went on and I kind of sort of not snuck into a children's book, but kind of landed in the children's department. I am a preschool teacher, so I had no desire to write children's books. I work with kids all day, but
Mhm.
I just happened over into that department, and I've been enjoying it for a while now.
Okay. So tell us about your first children's book.
Okay, my first children's book. I wrote this book for my mommy. Um, she's like my editor, the first person that reads the book, and she's like brutally honest. So I kind of give it to her first. So any slight mistake, she's gonna find. So one day she was just sitting at the kitchen table, and she was like, can you think you could write a book with no cursing, no sex, and no violence? And I was like, like nobody wants to read that. And so I thought about it and I thought about it and I was like, I can't write a book like that. So for Mother's Day, I wrote my mama a book and it's called Pinky's Weather Legs. And I wrote it for my mom and I dedicated it to her. It was just like going to be a one time thing, to be like, okay, yeah, I can write a book like that. And so the book is about a little girl who suffers from pain every time the weather changes. Have you ever heard like that old white saying they say, like, if your legs hurt, the weather's going to change?
Yes.
So my mom used to tell me this story when she was little that her legs ached her. And so her grandma would tell her, baby, you just have weather legs and, it's a gift. And so in this book, the little girl's name is Pinky. So she's telling them that it's going to rain, but they don't believe her. And so she goes to school and she tells everybody it's going to rain. And then eventually finally rains.
Okay. And what was your next book?
And then my next book, after I wrote the children's book, it did well, and I had a little character. Her name was Pinky, and so then I wrote, when you make a character, and I didn't know this character was going to take on this whole life. This little girl like took on this whole life, and so I would go to these book signings and bring out Pinky, and her setup would be like really cute and all girly because I'm like a girly girl. And so the little boys and their parents would feel kind of left out because it was like, well, where's your little boy character at? And I was like, well, I don't have a little boy character. And so I created Little Mouse in the Wrong House. And it's a book of rhyming words. It's about a little mouse, and he gets lost, and he's traveling from house to house, and he runs into a fat cat Pat, and he tells him he's going to eat him. And then the little Pinky's in this book, and she comes in and she says, he's not going to eat you because he doesn't have any teeth. And so this is like a rhyming words, and plus this is really cute. And I did it for the little boy, so that was my next children's book.
Okay.
And so since I did that book, I was like, well, let me just keep going. Because when I write the kids' books for me, when I write them, it's like making a lesson plan. It's like, what do I want to teach the kids? what do I want to teach them? And so I have to think about what I want to teach them. And then I get it in my mind that, okay, I'm going to write this. And then that's what I do.
How long does it usually take you to finish your books?
An adult book, when I do a novel, it takes me from cover to cover a year. In between 9 months to 12, depending on, when I write the adult books, I'm like really into it because this is a story that I want to tell and I want to get the story out. But sometimes I have to stop myself, and I have to, like this last book that I wrote, House of Foray, I had to break this up into like, and this is like a really thick book. And this is my first time that I really went into fantasy fiction, because in this book, there's a vampire and a voodoo queen, and I'm obsessed with slavery and slaves and werewolves and things like that. So I had to break this book up into 3. So this book is actually a trilogy. So I had to stop myself. But from cover to cover, normally a year. Okay. A year. This last part I've been working on for a little while, because sometimes things get in the way of the book. Real life, like I have to work. I had a grandbaby. This little character, Pinky, kind of, because with her comes merchandise. So she kind of took on like a life of her own, almost like she kind of stole the show from everybody.
And is that Pinky behind you?
This is Pinky behind me. And let me tell you about this Pinky, okay? So this is my Pinky doll, right? Okay, so remember I told you this character kind of took on a life of her own. She has a lot of merchandise, but I don't want to hold up your time, like going to get, she has like hats. I don't know if you can see the umbrella?
Yes.
Okay, so she has umbrellas and merchandise like beanies and stuff like that. Okay, so this is her doll, and I'm really, really proud of this doll right here, okay? So my great niece came over and decided that Pinky needed a new hairstyle. So she took all Pinky's bows and stuff off her hair, and she wanted it straight like this. Okay. Pinky ended up having that straight hair like that. But, if you get her in a package, she'll look like this. And that's going to be her Christmas present, by the way. Like, you're going to get that. So this is what she looks like. Aww. And so she has 2 bows. So this is Pinky. And she has the brace on her knee. And it's removable. Like, you could take it off if you want to. But this just symbolizes, she's in pain. Her leg hurts when she's in pain. And I never, in the book, said, she has arthritis or lupus or anything. Because, if little girls are suffering from pain, or somebody suffering from pain, they could be, whatever they imagine it is to be. It's funny because when I wrote her and I started selling her, and she started becoming popular, I have a friend of mine whose daughter has braces on her legs, and she sits sometimes in a wheelchair, and she was so excited. She was like, "Mommy, Marsha has a baby like me. She has a Pinky like me." So that was so cute. That was to me, I was like, okay, I got my message across.
Yes. Now tell us where we can purchase your book and the merch.
Okay, the merch you can get at marshabullock.com. You just type in my name, put .com behind this, my website. My books, all of my books, you can find on Amazon.com. You just type my name in. Normally, they were all together. Like, if you just typed my name in, all my books will pop up. But for some reason, they have them separated. They're still together, but it may be like a couple authors in between me. So at first, they were all together. Now they're kind of separated. But if you just type my name in, they'll come up. So Amazon, and then marshabullock.com. The umbrellas you can get from Amazon.com also.
And are you working on another book?
I am working on another book. I have a book. I have a sequel. Well, no, the third book to this one, House of Foray. And then I just have some more kids' books, but I have a book coming out. It's called Pinky Walks Through Black History Month. And I'm going to release it during Black History Month. And it's just Pinky. She's riding through through history. And she's just giving acknowledgement to all the people who came, before us, who helped us. And, And then I pick some of my favorites because I know sometimes when we do Black History Month or we hear Black History, we do history, we get the same ones. Dr. King, we love Dr. King. But I picked some people that I kind of like, and put them in there. And then I have one called Cash the Wonder Dog and Prince Birthday. And all the characters are just extensions of Pinky. Like they're her friends. And they all have, they all have names. Their colors are names. Like she has one Turquoise the Terrible. And this is like for little boys again. And it's a little boy, and in the book, he identifies he has ADHD. He can't sit still in the classroom, and he's all over the place. So they decide with the parent and the mom and the dad that they're going to try this medicine. So they put him on this medicine, but it just makes him lethargic and takes away all his great qualities. So in the book, it shows you can manage that and still, have all the great things about him. So this is my COVID book. And I actually wrote this for my preschoolers. I was never going to publish it. It was just something to help. We went on to what they call online learning, visual learning, and I published this. I wrote this for them. And then I put some little pictures with it. I was never going to publish it. But then I was like, go ahead and publish it. So this is just Corona. And he lives in a laboratory, and she got out. And the scientist is trying to catch her. And, it shows you all the things that little kids can understand. Like she can't get back to the laboratory. She just wants to play, but she's making everybody sick. She's spreading this glitter that's making everybody sick. And wash your hands and wear your mask. And she's invisible, so she can hide in the air. So until the scientists find her, be safe. And it's so cute. So I went on and I got it illustrated and I published that one.
It is cute. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And are you self-published?
I am self-published. And that was something that I learned how to do. And I want to say totally like on my own. When I first wrote my first book, I was like, I'm going to write this book and I'm going to sell 1 million copies. I'm going to be on Oprah. They're going to make a movie. And, writing the book was so easy. It was just like, boom. The story was in my mind. I put the story to paper, But then when I wrote the book, I learned all these things that I didn't know. I learned about editors and, publishing a book. And I luckily, I had a friend who had a book, and she introduced me to a guy who had a printing company.
Okay.
And so he kind of taught me some stuff that he knew. And so I just started picking up stuff. So I just got, I write everything down. And so I started writing all this stuff in my journals and my books, so I became this like self-publisher. It was, once I caught on, it was easy for me to do it. But at first I was like lost, like, I don't know what to do. And I want to say about that is for people who are just now publishing books, they need to research it a lot because you have people who will, especially if they don't think you know what you're doing, they will charge you a large amounts of money to do stuff that maybe you could do for yourself for free, and they're going to go do it for free. They're just going to charge you to do it because you don't know no better. Yeah. So I ran into a lot of stuff like that, but now I'm self-published, and to me, it's just the way to go. It's, you get the book out there, you get people. The only thing I have, I would tell people that advertising and letting people know you have a book, that's when the work starts. Like writing a book is, if you're a writer, that's the easy part. Getting it, out there and getting people to read it and know about it. That's the hard part.
Okay. And are you on social media? If so, how can we find you?
I am. I'm on Facebook as Marsha Bullock. I'm on Instagram as Vivid Imaginations 13. And then there's a Vivid Imaginations, just Vivid Imaginations. And then Pinky is separate. So there's Pinky's Weatherlegs. I'm on Twitter as Miss Bullock 70. Twitter is one of the ones I barely go on Twitter. I'm always on Instagram. I just haven't learned how to work Twitter.
Okay.
is probably what it is. I'm real comfortable with IG and Facebook.
Okay. And how do you think being a writer has helped you as a person?
Being a writer has helped me as a person because I've always been an open-minded person. I've always been a person to accept people for just who they are. So being a writer and coming up with these characters and accepting things that my characters do in the book, it helps me in my life because when I come across people, you know, I'm not so quick to judge. I'm not so quick to give I'm quick to listen is what I'm trying to say. So being a writer helps with that because, I don't think anybody could tell me anything that I would be like, oh, you know what I'm saying? It might end up in the story if you tell me something that's, you might become part of the plot. But I think it just helps me to be a more humble person, a person of possibilities as, yeah, you can do that, or yeah, they did that, or wow, But I think it helps me to just stay humble and just stay open and be like, okay, let's work with that.
Okay. And is there anything else that you would like to tell us about your books?
They're wonderful. They're great. I don't have a favorite one. Every one is my favorite one. As soon as I'm done with that one, I'm like, that's my favorite. But then I read another one. That's my favorite. The children's books I love. I think the children's books, they have a meaning. They have a purpose. Especially this COVID book is very relevant. And that you can find them, and if you like them, stop by my page, leave a message, leave a review on Amazon. I think that always helps. Tell a friend, I read this book. This is a nice book. And then they could just be found on Amazon.
Well, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Thank
Okay.
you. All right.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, everyone. That was author Marsha Bullock telling us about her book. Make sure you purchase a copy, and don't forget to like and subscribe to this video below.